Good morning, and as Yanni said, we are going to get started right away. So once again, instead of me doing much talking, I want to introduce our keynote speaker, John Preskill. And so I'm going to ask John to come up on stage as well, please, and stand next to me. Okay. This is going to be a slightly elongated introduction of a keynote speaker. And the reason for that is John Preskill is really, for us, the anchor of the conference. John has keynoted this conference for all 7 editions of its existence. And it's very important to us. And I was chatting with Scott Aronson, and I said, look, I'm wrestling with the way to qualify or describe what John's impact is on the conference and on the quantum computing community generally. And what he said, and I'll paraphrase, he said that John Preskill provides the magisterial and canonical views on all of the contentious issues in quantum information and quantum computing. And I think that's very apt, because on the business and industry side, we tend to be extremely optimistic, and sometimes we'll get out over our skis a little bit in describing what the state of the art is or where we are with our technology. And I think John, in a very kind and humane way, brings everything back down to earth. And that's the personality and the culture that is just really super helpful here. And as just a couple of symbolic gestures to indicate what everyone out here thinks of what you've done for us in these years and what we hope you do for us in the future, we want to make just a small gesture, a small presentation. And the history of this is back in June of this year, when I emailed John to ask if he would once again keynote, he said yes. And so I then shot him an email and said, John, what do you do for hobbies in your free time when you're not thinking about quantum? And he wrote back and said, well, I like to watch classical movies, including musicals. And so I thought, okay, fine. And then I sent another email and I said, and do you drink? And John said, very rarely, but if I do, I drink scotch. And so with that information, we started to think, okay, what can we do to address and help promote those hobbies and pastimes? So there's just a couple of things, and John, maybe if you would stand right over here, we're just going to present a couple small items. The first items are a set of tumblers to hold scotch, and they are engraved with the lithium atom, more or less, that is symbolic of Q2B. Without the Q2B logo in the center, we thought that would be a little tacky, but keeping something just at an atomic level without kind of a corporate thing would be fitting. So that's one thing, that's one gift. The other one, of course, you need to have something that gets deposited into that. And so this is a bottle of 16-year-old Lagavulin Scotch, which I hope is your flavor. Or, and interestingly, we thought, well, let's try to back solve into why something 16 years old might link to John's publication record. And the one thing that we did find from 2007 is a paper that John wrote on kind of the linkage between quantum information and quantum gravity, which is kind of an interesting, and it's a little bit of a stretch to say this, but it kind of can provide a stepping stone into John's further work in quantum computation. And you'll see that a couple of the advisors to Ware who have made their way into academia have provided a little bit of illumination about why this particular paper was significant. So the year that this bottle of scotch was distilled, right at that moment, John and Patrick Hayden were penning this particular paper. So we thought that kind of was a nice little tie-out. The third thing that we did comes back to this, John's interest in musicals. So what we've done, we went onto some auction programs, and we found an original signed, I'll stand over here next to you, John. It's an original signed photo from a studio still of Gene Kelly from Singing in the Rain. And this was a color, actually not black and white, but it was a musical in color. And it is an original signature. And there are some skeptical scientists out there who will say, how can you be sure that's an original signature? And what we do have is a certificate of authenticity on the back, signed. And there are still some scientists who are going to say, yeah, but how can you confirm that's not forged? And yeah, we can't confirm that. But anyway, John, we really hope that when you have this in your cave or living room or TV room or whatever, that you can put this up and think about us and just kind of reflect on that. And we hope you like it. And I'll just set it down here for now. And then we can have that all packaged up for you. But anyway, I think it would be very fitting if we just all gave John a great round of applause and let him know that we really appreciate everything. So thanks a heck of a lot, John.